Hi, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist. Hello, Susan.
Hi, Lisa. Great day, beautiful day outside today. And thank you for joining us. My name is Susan Capurso. I'm an end-of-life doula and legacy specialist. And today we're talking a little bit of a niche topic here, but things that really families need to know. We're going to be speaking about ways to help children through activities and many other things when it comes to losing someone that's close to them, special to them in their family, somebody they loved. And this could be even before the loss, right? As Lisa will elaborate on in a little bit, or after they've passed, after your loved one's passed. So these ideas, and there's so many more, but we want to just throw these out to you to maybe take some of your own or think of some ideas. Maybe it'll get you thinking outside the box a little bit, because we know how tough grieving is for adults, right? To begin with, for adults. But we really don't understand the depth that a loss can have for the children in the family. And it's not only difficult, but it's confusing, to say the least, during this time.
So there's a lot of variations here. Let's just start out with the fact that people are all different, and we know that, but children and young adults and then adults are all different as well.
Oh, sure.
So speaking about someone who is, a child in elementary school and their perspective versus someone who's a teenager having lost, a parent or someone else, grandparent, or someone who's now, an older adult and has their own family. So all of those are very varied. Obviously, it depends upon the relationship. It also depends upon how they see that person, how they saw that person. And then, of course, their perspective on death and dying and all of that as well.
Right. So and, we all see things so differently, even two children at 15 years old. One will see it one way, one will see it an extremely different way. But I wanted to throw one thing out there too that I just thought of. The internet is it's a ball of education and information. So as much as we try to help you here, if you're dealing with a 12-year-old that's going through a loss, literally Google a 12-year-old going through loss, and you'll find a whole plethora of information.
Yes.
But there's many constructive things that you can do as a family to help a child to get through their own grieving process. And when you work on specific things, with the child in your family, you're helping them find more understanding, because you're flowing through this with them. And it's also providing comfort at the same time when you're doing these things, because they feel valued and understood and important. So this is, it starts conversation, it promotes other conversation and connection with them as well. And this is something you need to happen. And again, like Lisa said, depending on who the person was to them, their world can feel just as shattered as yours does, but maybe they don't know how to share that and express that as easily as you do. So today we're going to share with you a few things to help reduce that anxiety and that stress level that you can both share together. And just always remember that adults internalize grief differently than children. And although it might be difficult to comfort them when we really feel like we need the comforting more, it's important now to go that extra mile. And I know you have a little story, Lisa, that you want to share.
And something else also that I wanted to mention, people say to me, well, I don't want to show, my children that I'm so upset, they're going to get more upset. To be honest with you, they know. And in fact, when you do hide it or try to hide it, it makes them feel like they're supposed to hide it too. So I think this is very important to recognize.
Sure.
We all need to be honest with ourselves and with our kids. And even though it's very difficult to acknowledge that pain, it'll actually bring people together. It'll bring you and your children and family members together. It's when it's hidden or it's some kind of something we don't talk about that becomes the elephant in the closet. So
It does.
yeah.
It does, and causes more damage later on, even 30 years later,
Yes.
even 40 years later.
That's right. That's right. So I wanted to bring up my grandchildren because they never met my husband, and he would have loved grandchildren. And so my idea of always celebrating him is to make him real for my grandchildren. So whenever I see them, and I see them often, I'm always bringing something up. Grandpa Fred would have done this, or you look exactly like he did when he was this, or he really enjoyed this. And those conversations make it now a normal state of affairs. Oh yeah, Grandpa Fred was this, Grandpa Fred. And so instead of, him being buried and literally in our
And unknown,
unknown,
you've now helped him to
Right.
be known
correct.
in everybody's life.
Correct. And that's just a small thing and an easy thing to do when you see things or when you remember things or when something comes up that, elicits some kind of response.
Right.
And it's very nice. It's
Yeah.
very nice because he still feels like then he's part of us and he's part of the legacy that I'm bringing to my grandchildren.
That's right. That's right. Good. Nicely said, Lisa. So let's talk about, we'll tap on a bunch of the different things that you can bring in. Of course, not all of these, but I've jotted down a few here today as I'm thinking about different things that you could bring into your family's home. And one I thought about was just really meaningful conversations around the table, but also to where you can incorporate some type of reading. Maybe it was something from a special book that they loved. And it could be a reading or a poem or something from a movie that they loved. And you can make that a ritual and a tradition. You could bring that to the table, and that's a celebration, right, Lisa? And that's something we talk about all the time.
Yes.
Making sure you celebrate.
Yes.
I thought of letter writing. Letter writing is really something good for you, which is part of your journaling process, but for children, to write them a letter and talk about their feelings and get it all down on paper and even put it in an envelope and depending on their age, mail it somewhere or, keep that close by. How do you think? What do you think?
I want to add about that because it just made me remember that after my father had died, I was 30 at the time, so I was an adult. But when I went to the bereavement group, it was called Heal Loss, Help Ease a Loss. And we had the first exercise was to write a letter to that person who was gone. And it was very therapeutic. I wrote to my father about how grateful I was for the 30 years that we had and the memories I had and the fun things we did together. And it was really, really nice. That's the first exercise we did.
All of these techniques they're a therapeutic process to help you heal and heal healthy, in a healthy way versus not so healthy. And, I always think of, I'm very crafty. So I always think of things that you can make or do. And one of the things I thought of were, jewelry, like beads, right? A memory bracelet or something, because that takes time to do. And you can use their favorite colors. And you can even put the little letters in them now, the words. And even for boys, they have leather. If you look in Michael's, strands of leather, and you can make some kind of memory bracelet. And you can also incorporate, if you're using beads, you can incorporate a practice into that and let them know if they're sad and they're thinking of grandma or whoever it may be, that they can almost like rosary beads, where they touch the beads and they can recite a mantra or, I feel okay, or I miss you, grandma. I miss you, grandma. I love you, grandma. And a practice like that is just something that we could, bring into their lives and know that we're doing something again in a healthy way to make their memory. I know your wheels are turning. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking crafty. So I'm thinking scrapbooks. A lot of people really like
Oh, yeah,
collecting
yeah,
different things and saving different things. And I bet there's
of
so many
course.
things that people have. And
Of
we
course,
should
and I
be proud
had
of
that
it.
on my list today as far as doing scrapbooking with photos and,
Yeah.
but don't take charge, let them in on the process
Oh, yeah,
of collecting the pictures that they want to add,
that's right.
of sayings that they want to write, and let them write things in the book and let it become their special
Yes.
place,
Yes.
their
Yes.
special memory.
Nice.
So that was actually next, photo books that I
Mhm.
had on that list. I thought about ornaments for Christmas trees, right? Because we see a lot of homemade ornaments. And again, Michael's and Hobby Lobby have all these crafty things. But it's not just a matter of teaching your child a craft. You're sitting around the table, you're talking about why you're doing it. You're bringing up memories and stories and how do you want to remember them, and what can we put in yours, and some glitter or gold or a photo. You could do all that and just walk around those stores too, because they have lots of new
Mm.
crafty things that we're not even thinking about, right?
Yeah.
Coloring, drawing is a nice table event that you can do with all the kids, and let's draw them a picture and put it on the refrigerator or frame it and hang it on your bedroom wall. And this is a photo that reminds you of grandma or grandpa. I don't mean to keep referencing that, but for young ones, that's most of the time who they tend to lose first in their lives.
Yeah. So people use art therapy and they also use
Mhm.
play therapy
Sure.
during sickness and, at the end
Yeah.
and beyond. So both of those are very therapeutic for our young children.
We've had two guests on our show. You can look back in the videos from, hospice, but they have bereavement for children in the camps
Yes.
that they hold every year. And they do a lot of this art therapy and music therapy, and they incorporate that into the whole camp week. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
I also saw online recently one of these card games in a box that you can order. And I jumped on yesterday to make sure it was still there. And yes, I saw it on Amazon. And it's about grief. And it's to address their feeling. And it gives you prompts to start conversations.
Oh.
Right. So that could be something, especially if there's a few kids in the family and we want to get that conversation going. Books, plenty of books out
Plenty of
there.
books. Way
Plenty of
back.
books.
Yeah, way back, there have been books about what's his name in the neighborhood. All of a sudden I'm blank.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes, Mr. Rogers did a lot of really getting people to express their feelings, and he wrote so many series of books. I mean, I remember one of them being, about a pet, because a lot of people lose their pets first. And so, kids had to deal with the pet loss. And he has all kinds of books, death of a grandmother, death of a parent. I mean, there's a whole series of books. And being an
I
early
didn't even know
childhood person,
that.
yeah, being an early childhood person, I would seek these out because I was dealing with young children.
Yeah.
And so these were very good for the parents.
So I guess you could just Google that. Fred Rogers, I guess
Fred
that,
Rogers, yeah,
right, books,
yeah,
and
yeah.
see what type of books that he offers there.
Yes.
Another thing I thought of was like a personal memory box or a hope box. And that could be the wooden, and that would be great because they have those in Michael's, I know too. And that's a project that you can paint, and you can draw somebody's name on and paint it and make it creative just the way you want to. But then even afterwards, to put little things in it that remind you of that person and have that personal little space, like a little jewelry box. Maybe there's notes in there, maybe there's, a bracelet of theirs, or
Yeah, we go back to jewelry for a second.
Okay.
I had two rings, I guess, all together, and I offered them to my son and my son-in-law. Both were really beautiful rings, and neither of them wanted it. So I instead took that star sapphire and made it into a pendant. But so the point is that you can repurpose, as we did in one of our videos, repurpose the jewelry, and it becomes a really incredible memory. I did that with my mother's jewelry and made it into different things. So yeah, I took rings that had opals, and I wasn't going to wear that particular ring, and I made it into something. So I think that's something also to keep in mind, because it's very special for
Especially
generations.
for, you know, a teenage child. You know, how now they're growing through the years, and they love that jewelry, and they love fashion, and you can take something and really make it into something personal for them. I think that's a great idea, right?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And what about a blanket, Lisa? I know you know
So,
about this well.
yeah, so, places like Shutterfly or Collage, they are big in photo gifts. And you can do everything from mugs to towels to blankets to pillows to collages to calendars to anything you want. And those pictures, it's so wonderful to see them all around. They're all around my house.
You
And
have a blanket, as a matter of fact, but remember the process, okay? The process is what's really important,
that's
where
right.
you're gonna start communication and have them pick out pictures that they wanna include. You know, let them be something that they're in charge of, and then go through the process online of putting it together, uploading the photos, let them wait in the mail for it. And you can include children in every step of the way. Yeah, sometimes it's easier not to. Boom, boom, and you can do things on your own. But the whole purpose right now is to include them in all of these processes. I want to talk about planting a tree, because as silly as it sounds, it really is a heartwarming, I don't want to say tradition, but a ritual that you can do as a family and include all the children, as far as going and picking out the tree, finding the perfect place in the yard, and then digging the hole. We did this for my father-in-law. We all got together, and my mother-in-law, they always loved this one certain kind of tree.
Mm.
So after he had passed, we went and we bought the tree, and we went on a Sunday and had dinner. And after we ate, everybody went outside and we all dug the hole together, and we put the tree in, and then we told a story, and then somebody said a little prayer, and the tree started to grow, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's just a good memory. And that's really good for children, because it's a real physical product of nature that they'll see all the time. Even if they just come to grandma's once a week, they'll know that they took part in planting that tree for grandpa,
Lovely.
right?
That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can read under the tree and little bench and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something else that I had on here, to make little memory gardens, whether it's just that tree, but you can add things to it. You can add a little rock garden around it. You can add a little bench or somewhere to sit and make that area a sacred space,
Yes. Yes.
you know, because the children will see that as that space. And before you know it, you'll turn around and they'll be out there sitting there and quiet and reflecting in that space, just as an adult would.
Yes.
You know, so that's really important too. Social gatherings, really important to say, hey, let's invite everybody to dinner 2 Sundays from now. Plan the menu, include the children. What did grandma like? What was her favorite meal? What about a dessert? Let's plan the menu. Let's do it together. Let's shop for it together. Let's invite aunt and uncle and your cousins, and we're going to tell stories about grandma and grandpa. So these social gatherings, even though it's just dinner with the family, can be made into something, you know, so personal, and memorialize and honor your loved one.
Yes. And don't forget, we brought up recipes, I guess, a few weeks ago. What a great opportunity to bring some recipes in and have things that they enjoyed. And they remembered for, oh yeah, this was the carrot cake that they always made.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's wonderful.
And just remember, though, that with these gatherings, really, even though it's hard talking about death and dying, this is the circle of life.
Yep.
Okay. This happens to all of us. And by not talking about it, this is how generations go on and grow to be old and fear death. And they're really, really afraid, and nobody wants to talk about it and communicate about death and dying. So guess what? As a parent, as an adult, this is your responsibility to now speak with them about these topics to let them know that they're not to be feared. This is the circle of life, and this is what happens. And you don't have to use mine and Lisa's words. You can use your own gentle words, but start from the get-go, start when they're young.
Yep.
So that they understand loss as they grow older and encounter all the loss that we know that they will, right?
Absolutely.
You can make it a little bit easier for them. So little rituals like the special dinner, you can do things during that dinner, like light a candle, a moment of silence. Now, maybe that's not powerful for you, and usually it is when we have a moment of silence for anybody. But that's really powerful for kids, and especially when they see you doing it, because they're like sponges, children, right? And they learn from our actions. Absolutely. And how we do things. So when you're showing love and appreciation and gratefulness for having them in your life and lighting that candle and reading those words or saying that prayer, you're teaching them. You're teaching them that this is something that they'll bring with them moving forward in life. I thought about another crafty project that doesn't cost a lot. They have the canvases all over Michael's. Get a small canvas. It doesn't have to be big, and have a family night where grandma's favorite place was the beach. She loved being by the water. So we're all going to draw a beach, and you have your paints there and put a sheet over the table, and they have little easels too that you could buy to stand the canvas on while you're painting, and make it a family project. And this will be something that they could hang in their room and always know. And you'll hear them telling their friends that they made this for their grandma who loved the beach so much, right? So things like that. Once a month, again, back to the food, have a favorite dessert, have something favorite, one of their favorite recipes. We talked about that. Put on their favorite music once in a while, even if it's not music you'd normally listen to in your house. Say grandma loved classical music. Okay, and you've never turned on a classical station in your house, but find it now. Find it on Pandora and just play it maybe on Sunday mornings from 9 to 10 o'clock, and let the kids hear that in the house, because that's how we're going to think of grandma and keep her music alive. Music is really, really big, and you can incorporate that in a lot of ways. I'm a big believer in music. I saw something else about a memory tablecloth, and I thought this was kind of neat. So you pick up an inexpensive tablecloth, and they have fabric markers or just Sharpies, okay, and different colors. And you can draw some memories. I would test it first, maybe put some newspaper underneath it or something. You don't want to ruin your table, but maybe draw pictures, right? Or put words, sayings, and talk to them. What a fun project for kids to do. They'll even feel like they're being a little bad. What? We get to draw on the table? Yes, and it's all about grandma.
That's neat. That's neat.
So that's a fun little thing. Also, another thing I thought of, Lisa, and I know you're laughing at me now because I love my lists. So I love to come up with different lists, but I do the family, the grief ceremonies now. And one of the rituals we do in a circle with the adults involves candles. So I thought of, wouldn't it be nice, for your family just to sit in a circle, and you can buy, I recently bought the votives that are battery operated. Okay, you can buy those. They're very inexpensive, or larger ones as well. And everybody holds the candle in the off position. And as you go from one person to the other, you light your candle and talk about a favorite memory that you had with grandma or grandpa, and just go around the circle and make it a dessert night, make it a pizza night, who cares? But you're bringing in some honor and celebration to your event about the person. And this is how they heal.
Yes.
This is how they heal, and they grieve in a little bit better way. Go to their favorite place.
Yep.
You're all about this, Lisa, right?
I'm all about this.
get in the car on a Saturday and say, hey, you know, she loved that park or that beach all her life, or she met grandpa there. Let's all take a ride there and share in the memory and the feelings.
Yeah. That was the first thing I did once my father had passed. He had tickets to an event, and it was Special Olympics. And I said, he wanted to go, we're going. And we went to it, you know, and I thought that it was really wonderful.
And your family almost canceled it, right?
They almost canceled
They
it.
didn't want to go, and
They didn't
then
want
you
to go.
said, nope, we're doing this.
Exactly. Really good for me. Really good for all of us, I thought.
And look at that memory.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about that today, right now. That's a beautiful thing, right?
Yep. 38 years ago, we're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. You know, and being more giving and donating.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Maybe
want to talk about
making a
that.
donation in
Yes.
their name.
Yeah. So, you know, what's really helpful is when people get involved in a specific disease that perhaps the person died of, or,
Right.
you know, something where they feel like they're really making a difference, and working towards it. Whatever, you know, had a heart attack like my father, you know, American Heart Association, I always do that. I tell the kids about that. But whatever disease it is, the walking, the donations, everything together really brings people, you know, first of all, you feel like you're with other people who understand as well. But secondly, you're really doing something that's going to help, you know, in the future, say for research.
Exactly. And try and think outside of the box and help the kids to think of something maybe that they can do to raise the money on their own. And again, depending on the age, it could be, if they're young, it could be something as simple as, and I just thought of this off the cuff, putting on a concert and singing some songs with your brothers and sisters or your friends. And let's charge all our family members that come to see it that night $5 each.
Mhm.
Okay, to come to the house and have pizza and watch the concert. And then even if it's $40 or $50, they feel like they've raised that money to go to a good cause to help fight that disease that their loved one passed of.
Yes.
And you're implementing such seeds into such little welcoming, spongy minds that that'll be something that maybe they're going to do again and again in their lifetime, because they'll always remember that. But they won't know to do that unless you plant the seed and help them do something small like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, my mom was never, you know, involved in nonprofits or volunteering or donating like that. I never had I was never taught these things. So I learned about them though, as I'm an adult now and I'm doing more in my career, I learned more about, you know, being in that world. You've been in that world a little bit longer than I have, Lisa.
My mom was involved with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Really good stuff and really, really important things.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had seen something else. It's called a secret signal. And as silly as this may sound, you know, it depends again, who the person was to you, how hard it is for everybody going through this grieving process. But there's a certain signal that you can give to one another that when you're thinking of that person,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be where we always have the conversation, you know, about them, but it could be used at any moment through the year when you're happy, you're sad, or you're thinking of them. It could be something as silly as every time we think of grandma, you know, let's pull on our ear, right? And make that a family tradition, a family ritual. And that can carry on through the years. I kind of like that because it's a quiet, sensitive way, a personal way of letting everybody know I'm thinking of them now and I love them and I miss them.
Nice.
Right?
Nice. Yeah.
But there's really so many other things you can do. There are so many other things. And again, the internet is just a big ball of education. So you need to do a little bit research, incorporate things that feel right for your own family, right?
Yeah.
if you're crafty, if you're not crafty, but still try it anyway. I like that paint thing, where everybody's having, and you're having fun doing it, and you're laughing, and you're talking about the memories. But no matter what their age, children need to heal too.
That's right.
And to find little insignificant, silly things like the things that we're talking about here today are important to them, but they can't do that on their own.
Yeah.
They need you to help them think of these ideas and to get these things going.
Right, right. And then there's the fact that time may be limited. And I really hope that people will think about how to spend time together, no matter what time it is, no matter how long it is, and do things together, whether it's just sitting around and watching home movies, or sitting around and talking about different stories, or laughing about things that happen. It's sharing those special moments and making sure that you cherish those. Nobody knows anyway, what tomorrow will bring. And so just trying to make sure that you have those moments together and make those memories together, whether it's writing things down or whether it's looking at things.
It's all about the quality of time.
That's
what the bottom line in life is all about, right? We can be busy at work, we can be doing things all the time, but it's the quality of time spent. So if you don't have that, try and bring that into your life a little bit more. But one last thing, I think we touched on this at the beginning when we first started, Lisa, but if your loved one hasn't passed, but that they're in that last chapter and that last milestone of their life, sometimes that could be very frightening for children as well, because there might be less, conversation and less speaking, and kids don't know how to handle that. They're used to seeing jovial grandma or grandpa and picking them up and throwing them around the room, and maybe that's not happening more. So that can be a little frightening. But there's still ways to help them understand that this is a transition now, and have them maybe work on something together while we are still spending time. So maybe that means looking through the box of pictures, while grandma's in bed, or pulling pictures that are her favorites and showing them to her and putting them in a special album while you're there. Because you can do this, and of course, kids of a certain age, not too young, but there's different things like that you can make them understand this time and enjoy this time, because these memories will really be with them forever.
That's right. My kids came to the hospital. My mom was in the hospital for 7.5 months, and my kids came, I guess I'm trying to think of how old they were. Maybe they were 11 and 13 or something like that. Anyway, they decorated my mom's hospital room.
Beautiful.
That was really nice. Really nice. She'd been there so long, we couldn't get her out. And doing something like that was really good for them. And
really good. Really good. It helped them feel useful. They were doing something. They were just not sitting in the corner in the chair being frightened.
Right.
Of the environment. You had them be active, and you had them, work to make the world a better place. And that's all it's about, right?
Yeah.
And spending that last time with them. Yes. So keep some of these things in mind as well for before a loss. That's really important.
Yes. So Susan, talk about your legacy books, because it's obviously so pertinent.
So on the website, you can find them, eastenddoulacare.com. And I just realized susancapurso.com goes to my website as well. I pointed it there in the very beginning and didn't even realize that, Lisa. So yeah, on the website, Coming Full Circle, 100 tools, tips, and ideas to bring in to end of life when you have a terminal diagnosis. Remember Me, the Story of My Life is a book filled with prompts that get you started to leave your own story and memories and experiences. And that's a project that I work on. It's a 4-week project, and then we get together in person on Long Island or virtually to get your stories and memories down, and in a 12 by 12 hardcover, beautiful book with pages that can't tear and photos. And that's something that will last through the generations, hundreds of years. I guarantee you that the families you'll never get a chance to meet will now know who you are, because you'll be leaving a little piece of history,
What a beautiful legacy for people.
right?
It's
It's
what
a
we
really,
wish.
really great
We
thing.
all wish to be remembered.
That's right. And should be remembered,
It should be.
because you're validating your family's existence in the world. You're giving them roots. You're giving them a heritage that they would not have had. Most of us don't have these things from, generations past. I certainly wish that I did on my coffee table. I'd like to know who I look like, and was I like her, and where did I come from, and the things that she liked. And I bet you there's more in common to those threads than we realize.
Yeah.
And it gives you a sense of confidence in the world too, in knowing that, wow, they had this, they did that, they overcame those obstacles, and now I can too.
Yeah.
It's an important thing. So all of that can be found on the website that you see above me there. And Lisa, let's hear about what you do.
Well, people don't like to talk about death. But the journey is personal, and people have to figure out sort of how to get through, and I help them get through it. I love doing workshops because I can reach more people that way, and I love helping people celebrate those who are no longer with us physically, because they are always with us. And I say that all the time, and it's the way I live my life. They were part of me, and they'll always be part of me. And they continue to be part of me because I continue to celebrate their lives.
Beautiful.
So I hope people.
I hope this was helpful today, right?
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
And and I have books as well. They gear towards pancreatic cancer, and again, generations. We hope that eventually there will come a cure for this really fatal disease. So my own kids are concerned about it, and genetics and things like that. So it's something to work for as well. So
if you have any questions too, please, our phone numbers are right here. Reach out to Lisa and I anytime, and we'll be happy to
and
help
also if you come up with a topic that has not been covered, there's so many things to discuss, please. We are open to other topics and other things that might be pressing or important to you, or that you've heard from other people, or they're troubling for other people. There's so many videos to choose from, and we've tried to not only discuss these things professionally but personally, because we both understand death really well.
Right.
So
well said.
Yeah, so
thank you very much for joining us today, and we will see you next Monday.
We will. Thank you, Susan. Take care.
Thanks,
Have a week.
Lisa.
Okay.
Bye.